All right, what's poppin'? It's your boy Big Rich, Queens, New York City, where we get busy. I know we haven't spoken for a while, been doing many things. Mob story time, a little Tuesday afternoon business, and most importantly, tonight at 8:30 on Ruckus Radio Podcast, we will be celebrating our 5-year anniversary. Make sure you stop by, say hello to the crew, throw some smoke in the air, make sure you wipe your feet on the rug, and have a good time with us if you can. Salute. Let's get right into it. I'm smoking a little bit of sour diesel. You know what I call that if you're a Mob Story listener. What do I call sour diesel? Sunshine for the soul. Let's get right into it. A disgracia. Look who we have here, our old friend Gene. Let's get right into it. From the Daily News by my boy John Anisi. The feds think Mafia turncoat turned podcaster Gene Borrello belongs back behind bars. He has given up his mob life podcast, but not his life of crime, the feds say. Bonanno crime family turncoat Gene Borrello, who recently co-hosted a podcast the feds say glorified his time as a mob enforcer, could find himself behind bars again for a string of new crimes in Florida. Federal prosecutors in Brooklyn want a judge to toss Borrello, 38, in prison for 3 years, alleging he spent his time on probation, fighting with a girlfriend, bragging about mafia violence on YouTube videos, and using a burner phone to talk about drugs and violence. As a government witness, disgracia. Borrello helped lock up more than a dozen members of the Bonanno crime family, and after he was jailed from 2014 to 2019, a judge sentenced him to time served and probation. His own crimes were particularly violent: multiple shootings, home invasions, where victims were tied up, arsons, and beatings. After his release, he's been a blight on society and his actions have been getting worse, federal prosecutors allege. He has shown no regard for the orders of this court or the law. He is a danger to the community. He has made no progress towards rehabilitation, said Matthew Galati, who wrote to the judge, Frederick Block, to sentence him at a hearing this upcoming Wednesday, which is tomorrow, I guess. In fact, since the defendant was permitted to leave for Florida, his conduct has only become increasingly aggressive and dangerous. The defendant has breached this court's trust over and over again. Those crimes include a January stalking arrest and a December burglary arrest in Florida. He's in Florida committing burglaries, allegedly. A September stalking bust where he was accused of calling his girlfriend 58 times, and another September incident in which he allegedly threatened a Tampa Bay area bartender. That's the latest in a pattern of criminal activity and probation violations since his release in 2019. Borrello first started smashing the rules of his release by associating with felons through his podcast and by threatening an ex-girlfriend in 20... Listen, all that associated with felons, I don't agree with that shit, all right? You can't talk to somebody. He used to host a Johnny and Gene show podcast with another former gangster who flipped, Johnny Light. Another mob turncoat, John Rubio, nearly landed back in prison after making an appearance on the show. In his podcast, Borrello glorified all aspects of organized criminal activities and described in detail various acts of violence in which he and his co-host, John Light, had participated. Again, there's no crime in glorifying criminal activity. I mean, I glorify that shit all the time because I feel the government are bigger criminals, you know what I mean? And in February 2021, Borrello was busted for threatening his ex in an audio recording over Instagram. The minute you call the cops on me, I'll blow your husband's head right off. Don't forget about me. Remember what I used to do? I will grab your father right now and beat the dog shit out of him. That's really charming to say to somebody's father. Borrello did end back in prison, but Block cut him a break in March 2021 and sentenced him only to 120 days behind bars. But his bad behavior continued after he served those 120 days, starting with a YouTube video entitled Getting Violated by Probation and Going Back to Jail, in which he disparaged his ex's husband as fat and goofy. In another video titled Ronnie, Do You Smell That?, he described how he and Bonanno captain Ronald Gialonzo beat a man so badly that he shit on himself. Last May, he was accused of grabbing his girlfriend and smashing her phone during an unauthorized trip to Florida. Unauthorized. When federal agents raided his home in September, they found a cell phone with text messages referring to tricking probation officials to steroids and other drugs, and to a September 3rd confrontation with a Tampa Bay bartender. In a letter filed on Sunday, Borrello's lawyer, Nancy Ennis, asked the judge for leniency, contending that he is making significant improvements in his life including getting a job as a car valet. So I'm assuming that he has to see the judge tomorrow, and I will let you know if Gene Borrello goes back to jail or not. Now, me, a disgraciado is a disgraciado. That's pretty much it for me. You know what I'm saying? You go to jail, you don't go to jail. I don't really wish jail on people, you know what I mean? But anyway, interesting story. Let's see what happens. Big Rich Mob Story, Season 3, Queens. You know how we do. We conduct business. Like I said, sour diesel, some sunshine for your soul. And don't forget, 8:30 tonight, Ruckus Radio Podcast. 5-year anniversary show. We will talk soon. Salute.